Hi, my name is Dr. Brittany Anderson, and I am an assistant professor in the College of Education at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in the Urban Education program. And it is my great pleasure to participate in these book talks for Urban Education Week 2020. And I would like to share a book that I love and that is just near and dear to my heart in ways in which I engage our children in elementary schools. And then too, how I've used this book with adults and in local communities to talk about the historical legacies of Black Americans in the United States, and then also ways we can continue the conversation about social justice, historical legacies, unrest, and racial injustices as we for the last 400 years. And so this book is called The Undefeated. And it was written by Kwame Alexander and illustrated by Kadir Nelson. This book is they are both award-winning authors and illustrators. And so this book has such great imagery of athletes, scholars, poets, musicians, both current and of those from the past. And so many folks have engaged in their classrooms, have read about in their textbooks, but there are a lot of folks in this book, both that have done great and amazing things that we don't talk about enough. Their creativity, their intellect, what they did in their local communities, how they fought against injustices. And so this book just really does a very nice job of engaging in those conversations. Not only that, this book backtracks for the past 400 years, but also recent events post civil rights era. And so this book causes us to talk about events such as the killing of those that Mother Emanuel, and like why those things are important for us to discuss in our local communities and in our homes. And so it causes us to talk about the things of the past, but how some of these things have continued to happen in terms of racial injustice in the United States. And so this book does a great job of doing that. In addition, the book, other than like the amazing imagery and illustrations and the text that causes us to think deeply, it does a lot of provoking us to think about what isn't written, who isn't talked about, whose narratives are missing or misinterpreted, and also just causes us to think about and question what we know and what we may be missing, which is so critical for this day and age in the print and what we're seeing in the mass media. And so this book just does a great job of us being provocative, us being reading between the lines of what's said and what isn't. In addition, this book just causes us to think deeper. But then it's empowering. The first time I read this text, it brought me to tears. It talks about how despite what has happened to Black Americans, that we are undefeated, and we are resistors, that we are a collective, that we build each other up, and we lean into our communities and our villages to get the rest that we need, to get the recharge that we need, and then also too, how do we move things forward? And so I love this book for so many reasons, but it centers the conversations that are needed, the uncomfortable conversations that are needed, and also too, how we raise up advocates and activists in our communities, starting with our really young ones, to begin conversations, to incite curiosity, And so I highly, highly recommend this text. And again, Kwame Alexander writes other amazing young adult literature. Kadir Nelson, he's done so many great and provocative pieces for the Times and other outlets. And so I highly recommend this text. And thanks for coming to my book talk.